What's up, everyone? Today, we're diving into the wonderfully weird world of Epic Mickey Rebrushed. Now, if you're a fan of the original Epic Mickey, you know, that dark and twisty take on Disney's forgotten characters, you're gonna love this. Rebrushed takes everything you remember about the game, but cranks it up with a shiny new graphics engine and some quality of life improvements to make it smoother than ever. And let's not forget the game's iconic morality system, which literally paints your path to different endings based on how much you use paint or thinner. Yep, your actions really matter here, and Oswald is keeping tabs. But hey, let's get to the fun part, the bosses. These aren't your typical Saturday morning cartoon villains. No, these baddies are twisted versions of Wasteland's forgotten residents, and they'll test just how much of a hero you really are. Each battle is not only epic, but also changes based on how you decide to play. So today, we're ranking all of the boss fights in the game to see which ones truly steal the show. Grab your brushes and thinner, and let's jump into it. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking bosses in Epic Mickey Rebrushed. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The bosses in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, the Mad Doctor's Mechanical Claw. Alright, let's talk about one of the creepiest but easiest boss fights in Epic Mickey Rebrushed, the Mad Doctor's Mechanical Claw. So picture this, Mickey's just arrived in Wasteland, probably a little confused and freaked out, and boom, he's immediately strapped to a table by this mad scientist. The Mad Doctor has this whole evil plan to steal Mickey's heart so he can escape Wasteland. I mean, classic villain move, right? But here's the kicker, instead of something simple, the guy goes full Swiss Army knife mode and builds this crazy claw machine loaded with chainsaws, corkscrews, and, just to make things extra unsettling, a giant eyeball. Because why not? Now, you'd think with all those terrifying attachments, this fight would be a real nightmare, but nope. This mechanical monstrosity is just there to give you a little tutorial on how to zap some electric generators. Mickey's big move? Just spin attack a few generators, short circuit the claw, and you're golden. It'll flail around a bit, maybe even knock you into some thinner if you're unlucky. But honestly, it's more like a light slap from an angry toddler than anything truly dangerous. Still, major props for the creep factor. It definitely scores high on the I'm uncomfortable but also kind of fascinated scale. So yeah, as far as bosses go, the Mad Doctor's Claw is a bit of a pushover. You can wrap up this whole encounter in just a few minutes and you'll probably still have time to grab a snack after. But hey, for a tutorial boss, it's a solid introduction to the weird and wonderful world of Wasteland. The bosses in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, the Mad Doctor. Alright, so let's talk about one of the most hyped up bosses in Epic Mickey, Rebrushed, the Mad Doctor. You've been running around dodging beetleworks, been scrambling to get the pieces of the Moonliner rocket and thinking, man, this guy is really setting up for an epic showdown. The anticipation builds as you chase after him all the way to Lonesome Manor. But when you actually get to the fight, well, let's just say it's not exactly the knockdown, drag-out battle you were hoping for. Instead of taking on the Mad Doctor himself, you're left dismantling his Beetleworks generators. It's like, alright, I guess this is what we're doing now. The idea is that each time you take out one of these generators, it zaps his ship, and after 3 good hits, he's down for the count. And if you're feeling a bit brainy, you can go the paint route, climb the rafters, and line up a path for the Doom Buggy to take him out in one big hit. But no matter which way you choose, it feels a little more puzzle than punch, you know? I don't know about you, but I was really hoping for more of a let's go toe-to-toe with the Mad Doctor moment. Sure, you get that sense of accomplishment when you finish, but it's missing that big, satisfying boss battle payoff. You don't even get to slap that smug mustache off his face. Still, it's fun. Just not quite the showdown the build-up had you expecting. The bosses in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Petertronic and Captain Hook. Alright, so let's dive into some of the most memorable boss fights in Epic Mickey Rebrushed. Today, we're talking about 2 bosses that really stand out, not just because of their designs, but because of the wild ways you can beat them. First up, Captain Hook. Now, let me set the scene. You've made it to Ventureland, and who's waiting for you? None other than Peter Pan's arch nemesis, Captain Hook. But wait, this isn't the swashbuckling pirate you remember. Oh no, Hook's been transformed into a killer robot thanks to some evil contraption on Skull Island. And guess what? You've got 3 different ways to take him down, which is honestly super cool. So option 1, the trickiest, but also the most satisfying. You can climb up the rigging of the ship and free Pete Pan's little sprite buddy. Once you do, he'll take care of Hook for you. It's the classic get someone else to do the hard work strategy, but it's also kind of adorable. I mean, Pete Pan might not be the Peter Pan you're used to, but he gets the job done. But maybe you're feeling a bit more hands-on. That's where option 2 comes in. Remember, Hook's a robot now, so why not use that against him? You can actually force him to follow a guide rail straight off the side of the ship. Yup, just lead him off the edge like a confused Roomba. It's sneaky, but hey, it works. And let's be real, who doesn't love outsmarting a bad guy? If none of those appeal to you and you just want to go old school, there's always option 3. Smack him into a wall. 3 times, classic video game logic, right? But hey, whether you're all about strategy or just want to bash him until he gives up, this fight gives you choices, and that's what makes it so memorable. Now let's shift gears and talk about Petertronic. Yep, you heard that right. It's Pete, but tronified. This guy's hanging out in Tomorrow City, and surprise, surprise, he's guarding the first rocket part you need. So if you're hoping for a peaceful stroll through Space Mountain, think again. Petertronic's fight is all about timing and reflexes. He stands right in the middle of the arena, lobbing thinner and ID discs at you. And those discs? They're the key. If you time your spin attack just right, you can send them flying back at him. It's like playing digital tennis, but instead of Serena Williams, you're up against a giant pixelated Pete. Once you've hit him enough times, the tanks on his back will be exposed, and then it's your call. Do you paint him to redeem him or thin him out for destruction? Your choice, but remember, Wasteland's watching. So, there you have it. 2 epic bosses, each with their own unique flair and plenty of ways to take them down. Whether you're a strategic mastermind or just here to whack some pirates, Epic Mickey Rebrushed has got you covered. The bosses in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, the Clock Tower and the Shadow Blot. Let's talk about 2 of the most iconic bosses in Epic Mickey Rebrushed, the Shadow Blot and the Clock Tower. Seriously, these guys are some of the best and creepiest parts of the game, and if you've played, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, well, buckle up, because things are about to get inky, and maybe a little unhinged. First up, we have the Shadow Blot, the inky, monstrous nightmare you'll be facing off against during the first 2 acts of the game. This guy isn't just some random boss either, he's the reason the whole wasteland is crawling with blotlings. Oh, and he's also the reason Mickey's a little goopy. Yeah, the Shadow Blot infects Mickey at the start, giving him some real sticky problems to deal with. The actual showdown with the Blot takes place on top of Mickey Junk Mountain, which, let's be honest, is a wild place for a final battle. As Mickey squares off with the Blot, Oswald is out there fighting off an entire Blotling army by himself. Talk about multitasking. The fight is super intense, with the Shadow Blot throwing everything from laser blasts to huge claw swipes at you. He even breathes out thinner, and trust me, you don't want to be in the way when that happens. Your only chance to fight back is when he starts inhaling, which gives you just enough time to fill him up with the paint, or thinner, of your choice. No pressure, right? But of course, defeating the Blot isn't the end of your troubles. There's always something lurking in the wasteland. But let's switch gears to something that's just as memorable and possibly even more unsettling: the Clock Tower. This is probably one of the most iconic bosses in the game, and one that left a lasting impression on anyone who played the original Epic Mickey. If you've ever been on It's a Small World and thought, you know, this could be creepier, well, this boss fight is for you. When you first meet the Clock Tower, it's all grins, but then things take a hard left turn. That smile? Yeah, it melts off, and suddenly you're facing down a giant clock that looks like it belongs in your worst nightmares. What makes this fight so intense is how huge the Clock Tower is compared to Mickey. Its massive arms swing down, and you're constantly running for your life, trying not to end up as mouse mush. And just to add a little more nightmare fuel, there's this creepy off-key version of the Small World theme playing in the background. It's like the game is mocking you while you dodge attacks. Oh, and there's a new buzzsaw attack in Rebrushed, just in case you needed more reasons to panic. But the real kicker in this battle, just like with the Shadow Blot, is the choice you have to make at the end. Do you destroy the Clock Tower, getting that sweet revenge for all those times you were stuck on It's a Small World? Or do you redeem it and save the Wasteland's version of time itself? Decisions, decisions. So yeah, whether you're dodging the Blot's inky lasers or trying not to get crushed by the Clock Tower's arms, Epic Mickey Rebrushed serves up some seriously intense boss battles. And honestly, these fights are a big part of what makes the game so memorable. The bosses in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, the Phantom Blot. Alright, let's talk about the big bad Phantom Blots in Epic Mickey. Easily one of the most iconic and intense final bosses in the game. You think you've seen it all when you finally take down the shadow blot, and Mickey's probably feeling the same way, but surprise, that wasn't even the real deal. What Mickey's been fighting up until now? Yeah, just little bits and pieces, the blot's leftovers, and just when you think it's time to celebrate, Mickey decides to drop a bomb on Oswald, admitting he's the one who caused the Finner disaster. Timing, right? This leads to a scuffle, and wouldn't you know it, this is the exact moment the actual Phantom Blot chooses to make his grand entrance. Classic. What makes this battle so memorable is the sheer scale of it. The Phantom Blot isn't just another big baddie, he's massive, and not just in size. He's calculated, cold, and ready to suck the entire wasteland dry with these gross blotty tentacles called blotticles. And trust me, it's just as disgusting as it sounds. You're running all over the place, revisiting every land you've been to, cutting off these blotticle veins one by one. It's like a massive cleanup mission before the final showdown, and honestly, it feels like the game's putting all your skills to the test. But then, we get to the climax, the final assault. You blast off in the Moonliner rocket and head straight for the blot itself. It's this epic moment of, this is it, as you dive headfirst into the belly of the beast. And it's not just some empty cavern in there either. Nope, inside you're met with fallen Toon zombies, because of course, there are zombies, all trying to take you down before you can pull off your heroic last stand. The whole sequence just oozes drama, with the perfect blend of platforming and intense action. And honestly, what tops it all off is the story. The whole battle isn't just some random final boss fight. It's Mickey coming face to face with the consequences of his own actions. He created the blot when he messed with Yen Sid's magic brush all those years ago. Seeing Mickey, of all characters, deal with guilt and responsibility is what makes Epic Mickey feel so unique. It's weirdly emotional, and yeah, totally surreal, but in the best way possible. Honestly, this final fight nails both the gameplay and the story, wrapping everything up in a way that just sticks with you long after the credits roll. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.